Hey gang, it is freezing here. Winter has arrived, literally. Today, I'm going to talk about the Bitcoin miners. You don't see a lot of me, so this is the Minority Report when I'm in a t-shirt, which is not like now, but this is the Bitcoin mining report that I do monthly, and it's the most expansive set of data crunch you'll ever see for Bitcoin miners. It has ratios on ratios, tons of statistics, and we talk about the state of the Bitcoin mining industry, what's happening globally, and what's happening with the key public miners and who comes out on top based on a composite score of tons and tons, like 50 or 60 different ratios and ratios. So let's get into it. Thank you all for coming. And again, you don't need to see me. This is from PChem Tutor. I've been on your Patreon for 2 weeks. I love it so much. Thank you so much for being there. And let's get into the numbers. Let's not waste any more time. This is not financial advice, by the way. This is just, we're in a stage where, yes, miners were wonderful in the bear market, which you can buy things like CleanSpark for $2, etc. And then they had a great time early 2024. Since then, they've been languishing a bit, and that's just what happens. It's a cutthroat business. There's an arms race to buy as many rigs as possible. Is there still money to be had? We shall see. Let's get into it. First of all, let's look at some of the underlying industry data. This is from James Van Straten. This is the miner hash price. It's now at a 1-month high, which is a huge tailwind for Bitcoin miners. With Bitcoin hovering above 100K, and if miners are selling their Bitcoin, they could do very well. Also, with new accounting rules, they could do very well too. They could book some very big gains for the first time in quite a while. We don't know how this is all going to shake out in the coming quarters, but it will be interesting to watch. Now, total miner revenue reclaimed the 365 moving day average there, you can see. And in bull markets, the miner revenue tends to peak above the rolling 365-day sum of mining revenue. In other words, we have a long way to go, apparently, until this bull market ends. But again, this time is different. A lot of people thought what the miners would do this time around would be what they did last time around. But no, it's very, very different. Very different. Much more competitive. There's much more knowledge in the space, etc. Let's look at the miner NUPL. Net unrealized profit loss. It's now at 0.5 again amongst the miners. When it gets above 0.75, that's when the market starts to get heated. But we're nowhere near that, saying that the bull market is nowhere near its conclusion. We are middle of the road, ladies and gentlemen. We have a long way to go. And miner difficulty regression model. This is from Glassnode. Shout out to Sanjay as well. This estimates the cost to mine 1 Bitcoin. Again, it's a regression model. It estimates the cost to mine 1 Bitcoin at 33,900, but Bitcoin's trading at 104, 106K right now, and that's 3x the profit margin to showcase miners' resilience. However, that's not the real cost of mining. We'll get into that in a second. One other chart too, this is from Axel. The average daily revenue of miners is around 45 million, and currently network activity is quite high, comparable to the peak of 2018 you can see right there. So they're making money, they're making bank revenue, but their overhead is a lot higher than before. But we'll see. Again, this also shows that we are far away from the peaks of 2021 and 2022 bull cycles. Net, again, from these 4 on-chain charts I just showed you, we have a ways to go. One other thing that's kind of interesting is this is the hash rate. It has slowed down a little bit over the last couple of weeks or months, and many believe it's due to extreme weather conditions in mining hotspots. U.S. miners have been hit by bad weather, good weather, heat, fires, sun, wind, all that type of stuff. And the U.S. miners, however, alone have pulled in about 3,200 Bitcoin, I think, in block rewards, worth about $320 million. And that's big. And transaction fees constituted 1.63%, I think, of block rewards, totaling 51 Bitcoin. So they're getting all their money right now from Bitcoin block rewards. Very little from transaction fees. In fact, somebody just sent $1.25 billion for $1.50. That's Bitcoin. It's amazing. Try to do that with the bank. Anyway, in other news too, Thiel He is the CEO of Marathon, and he is spearheading this ambitious plan to establish SBRs, strategic Bitcoin reserves, across all 50 states. There are now 12 states that are planning a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and he's helping them. And he has a chocolate factory that makes chocolate that he can give to them as well. So who knows what will happen there, but it looks like the dominoes are going to fall very soon, and that's going to be very big for the space. Also, I did the NUPL already. Whoops. Duplicate, bad. Deleted, gone. Okay, I thought I deleted it. This is another chart. It's freezing. It's impacting my brain. Anyway, this is the top set of Bitcoin mining countries from Hashrate Index around the world. And dark is higher. You can see the most of the Bitcoin mining is happening in the United States right now. And then number 2 is Russia. So I decided to break all this data down and put together a little list of the top 10 Bitcoin mining countries. And here it is. This is kind of fascinating. If you look at the United States, they now have 36% of the global hash rate. Last time I counted it, I think it was in December or September or November, it was about 34%. So it continues to grow. Russia, quietly mining away. They have 16% of the global hash rate market share. China, number 3. 14%. Norway, 1.63%. Canada, 3%. Paraguay, 3.5%. Argentina, 0.75%. UAE, Dubai, 3.75%. Very close to Paraguay. Ethiopia, 1.5%. And Kazakhstan, 2.5%. Very interesting set of countries when you consider a lot of these places that have this share of the hash rate have very cheap electricity, and that's why they're doing it. And another view of the world, but from who has the biggest bags of Bitcoin in terms of governments. And here we have US and China, pretty much the same. But it's rumored now from CryptoQuant, that China has offloaded their Bitcoin. They don't actually hold it. We're not sure, cannot verify yet, but rumors they may or may not have that 190,000. If they did sell it, they sold it a while back. That's the good news. There's no risk of them dumping it. And Ukraine, 46,000, US, 198,000, UK, 61,000, etc., etc. Bhutan, nearly 12,000, El Salvador, 6,000. They are the big players out there in the world. Now, one other thing as well, which goes a bit counter to the Bitcoin mining regression price. This from Macro Micro. This is the miner's average cost to mine is now 89,463. So if you have that average, remember some miners are an awful lot higher, some are an awful lot lower. It's all over the place. But again, on average, the average miner is making bank right now, which is good for the space. If Bitcoin falls below 90K, they'll all be losing money, and that's not good. That's why I always say it's a cutthroat business. Let's get into the math engine time. And gratitude to the team that helps build these models so we can crunch all these numbers as quickly as possible. First of all, the gains to 52-week highs, where I like to kick this off with. Interesting mix. Now, you can interpret this 2 ways. It depends on who you are. I share all the data. You can create your own composite score. I don't care. But if you look at the miners like Core Scientific, that's closest to all-time high at 14%. But is it the best miner? We shall see. Then you have other miners like Bitfarms, 141% from all-time high. Crazy. CleanSpark, 118% from all-time high. Very far. Marathon, 72% from all-time high. And they've been buying Bitcoin hand over fist. Hive, 78% from all-time high. So these are the gainers you get if they get back to all-time high. And many believe, of course, they will. If you look at the price targets from analysts, yes, they are going to smoke these numbers. But we need Bitcoin price to go up a lot as well for that to happen. Then, share dilution since January 1st, 2024, about 385 days ago. The winner here is Iris Energy, 169.9%. BitDeer, number 2, 73.31%. And CleanSpark, number 3, 63.62%. You can see other names, kind of not as much there. And I threw MicroStrategy in as an example as well. MicroStrategy, even though they issue stock hand over fist to buy Bitcoin, their dilution is not too bad. Anyway, there's a Bitcoin miner list here you'll see after the video. Let's get into more ratios. The miner HODL bags, this has changed dramatically over the past 3 or 4 months. HUT, 10,000 Bitcoin. Marathon, 45,000 Bitcoin. Riot, nearly 18,000. CleanSpark, to over 10,000. Hive, 2,800. Cypher, 1,300. Bitfarms, 934. And then BitTier, 594. And the rest of them don't have any because they sell their Bitcoin immediately to pay bills. And that's how it works. So there is a certain time you want to build HODL bags after you've built your rigs to be very effective and efficient, latest and greatest, etc. And then you wait for price spikes, and then on the price spikes, you sell your Bitcoin. The question is, what will firms like Marathon do? Because they're now buying Bitcoin. They're becoming kind of like a MicroStrategy playbook. We shall see. Now, this is also very interesting. This is the change in production from September to December. And there is some very interesting changes here. I have actually calculated the ratios, but you can see for some, like in Marathon, produced 705 Bitcoin in September, and in December, just 3 months later, 890. CleanSpark went from 494 to 668. Iris 347 to 529, a big jump, etc. Some are still languishing and going nowhere fast, like Hut and others at the bottom, but we shall see. This is the view of that. Marathon increased production by 26%, CleanSpark by 35% just in September, Iris Energy 52%, very good, Riot 25%, and Cypher 50%. Core Scientific decreased production by 15.65%. That's not good. So what's going on there? We'll dig into it. Also, current hash rate for the different miners. The biggest one on the planet is 53,000 exahash. That is Marathon. Number 2, CleanSpark, 39,000. And then number 3 is Riot, 31,500. And Iris right behind them as well. Very close. Watch these two carefully. They are kind of interesting. And when we look at the future hash rate growth, which ones are going to grow fast, now that they've built a lot of their capacity, there's not much more room to grow. Marathon is currently at 53,000. Their planned future growth is 54, so they're pretty much there. CleanSpark, 39,000, going to 56,000. Riot, 31,000, going to 38,000. Iris, 31,000, going to 57,000. That's a big jump. And the others, some of them are just languishing. They just decided, I'm not going to build hash anymore. I'm staying where I am, like Cypher, etc. That's not necessarily a good thing, but it all depends on how it's financed and how effectively they manage their rigs. There are certain miners that don't grow too fast. They don't do share dilution. They just run a very lean, tight ship, and they come out very well in the rankings as well. We'll talk about them in a second. Also, brand new ratio. My favorite ratio now is the production per rig per miner, i.e. how much monthly revenue does each ASICs rig that they have generate for them. And the winner here is Cypher. They make $400.30 per rig. Number 2, CleanSpark. They make $344.90 per rig. Riot is number 3, $315 per rig. Marathon number 4, $300 per rig, flat. Iris right behind it, $298. And Hive, $297. Some of the others like BitTier, Core Scientific, Hut, Wolf, Bitfarms, a little bit off. You want to be at like that 300 mark to keep your head above water. Now, this is also interesting. This is Bitcoin held as a percentage of market cap September to December. This has become the big part of the game now because as the price of Bitcoin rises, this has a huge impact. So if you look at Hut was the winner back in September, 43.9% of their market cap was Bitcoin. So basically, if you're spending $1 on Hut, 44 cents of that bought pure Bitcoin. The rest is for the business, the other 56 cents. Marathon was 29%. Now Marathon is 71% of their market cap is pure Bitcoin. Hive is now 46%. Hut, 43%. Riot, 42%. And CleanSpark, 32%. So this has changed radically as people go into HODL mode, and some firms simply don't HODL any at all. Also, the IA Production ROI Model, another favorite ratio. If you take this ratio and then the dollars per rig ratio, which one is that? This one. These two are the most golden ratios. They're the ratios on ratios of many different things. But this is the IA Production ROI Model, is how much return on investment based on market cap from their business operations in Bitcoin mining do they generate? And the winner here is Iris, 2.13% per month is how much ROI they generate based on their market cap. Bitfarms, 2.11%, right behind. CleanSpark, 2.1%. These three are just unbelievably close. You can't even make this up. Like 2.1% to 2.13%. These three basically right now, per this ratio, are very lean and mean. But remember, every single miner is different. You would not want to be Hashrate. They can't mine for crap. And Bitdeer are suffering too. But Bitdeer stock was on fire because Bitdeer also make mining rigs and a whole bunch of other stuff. Core and Scientific sucked. Wolf, not too good either, despite the fact they have nuclear. So that's another key ratio. But what you have to do is take all of these, mix them all together, and create a weighted composite score. That's up to you to do. Another key thing, this is from the top and bottom indicator. This is the Bitcoin miner supply. It keeps on making new all-time lows. The Bitcoin miner bags are pretty much depleted. And this is globally tracking all the wallets. Despite HODL, it's not kind of represented here. The miner supply they have for sale is at all-time low. And this is why another factor why I believe the Bitcoin supply crunch could happen as well. By the way, if you like all of these and you want a written version, the team turns everything into Substacks and podcasts. So you get all the slides, all the data, all the write-up, etc. So let's get into the conclusion. As usual, two ways of looking at this. These are an example of all of the ratios with all of the scores. Green is good, red is bad. And you can just look at the colors and think, what is the most green? What is the most red? Right here, Core Scientific has the most red. Wolf, second worst. Bitdeer, third. Hut, fourth. Hut do well because they've got a lot of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And they have plans now to grow future hash. They didn't have that a while back. So that's actually improved a lot for Hut. And you look at CleanSpark, average of all the scores, composite, unweighted, 82%. Number 2 is Hive, 75%. Number 3 is Riot, 72%. And number 4 is Bitfarms. Now, when I weight them in my priority world of what I think is most important, okay, things like my ratios, like production over hash and production ROI over market cap and dollars per rig, they're the ones that I place a lot of value on because they show you the true effectiveness and efficiency of the actual miners. Then you get this. This is the weighted model. And what was CleanSpark here? 82. You can see even under this weighted model, their score falls. But a lot of the others do as well. So per this, my weighting, CleanSpark still wins. We'll see how their return, their revenue and profit really gets better, but because they're hodling, that may not happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Again, it's a cutthroat business. But per all my ratios, CleanSpark is still the most effective and efficient and best financially run miner. Hive is number 2. By the way, last time I did this last month, Hive was number 1. CleanSpark lost, but now they're back on top. And it shows you what a difference a month can make to financials. Iris Energy is number 3 for the first time ever and joint third with Riot. They both have exactly the same score. If you look at the equal weightings, Iris Energy falls to 58, 59%, while Riot is third. But weighted, Iris does well. And that's probably because of the key ratios, like the production ROI and the revenue generated per rig. It does very well on those, and I place a lot of value on those returns as well. So that's the story. Net, CleanSpark is the winner. Number 2 is Hive. They were number 1 last time around. CleanSpark is number 2. They swap places. And for the first time ever, we have Iris in there, joined third with Riot. That is the show, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you liked it. A lot of work goes into this. I know it's a very quick video, but that's where we are. And just so you know, in full disclosure, this is the time where I scale back my mining positions. And we'll see where they go. You know, if Bitcoin spikes to 120, 150, these miners will be on fire because the average miner is mining Bitcoin at 89,000. So watch this space carefully. There could be some crazy blow-off events, and we'll be here for them. So hope you enjoyed the show. And again, if you don't like the way, if you don't like all my ratios, pick a few yourself. Create your own composite score. I did all the work. I did all the lifting for you. And hit the like if you liked the video. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Have a good day. Bye-bye.